Hi, I'm Marshall McGinnis. You know, in today's world, it's not a surprise that something can become very influential from pop culture and just as quickly disappear. It happens to things all the time. It happened to the Pet Rock. It happened to Sequins. Miley Cyrus's Innocence. Thank you, Vanity Fair. But it happens to other things like communication with technological advances like iPhones and cell phones and email, fast access internet. You see all the time that human communication is very important, but what most scholars and geologists have known for years is that nonverbal communication is actually a majority of what we do. In this documentary, we'll discuss the importance of one form of nonverbal communication that has become very influential, the low five. Join us as we discuss the origin, the influence, the death, and the reemergence of the low five in this documentary, Gimme Some Skin, the life and death of the low five. To fully understand something, one must first understand its origin. In our research, we discovered two people in American society, and more specifically the field of education, in which they claim to be the leading experts on the low five. One gentleman by the name of Dr. Wallace Graves, a professor in human behavioral science at Dartmouth, who wrote a dissertation in American nonverbal communication, and the other being David George, a professor in American studies at Walker State University Online.
Well, Mr. George, thank you for talking to us. Please explain to everybody what it is that you do.
Well, I'm a professor at Walker State Community University Online, and we actually let people, get degrees online. So that's what I do. I facilitate that. That's what I do.
Okay. You say that your expertise, you're a professor of American Studies. So you say that your expertise is really on the low five. So where, according to your knowledge, did the low five begin?
Well, as you know, I'm a well-renowned historian, and the low five goes way back in our history, our U.S. history, actually to our president, Abraham Lincoln. When they put him on the $5 bill, sadly enough, it caused him, some sarcasm. He'd be walking down, the street, and people would walk up to him and say, like, "Hey, give me $5." So being the gentleman that he was, he'd be like, "Ho, ho, ho." And he would just, pat him on the hand. And, that was his way of, not getting angry about it. And, it's a big deal to get your face put on, U.S. currency. So, it took off from there. People went from being sarcastic about it to, if the President of the United States is going to, use that as a greeting, then, it's good for us too. So it immediately went into the circles of the wealthy, parties, and even Congress, whatever.
Alrighty. So where did the low five really begin to taper off in its popularity? What really caused its decline?
Well, I think people wanted to not be conformist, that kind of thing. I mean, they wanted to try new greetings. I mean, somewhere in the '60s, with the Vietnam War and the protests and things, people started, using peace signs and things of that nature. And it started to go out then, but I really truly think it went out with, Dr. J leaving the ABA, and he cut his fro off, went into the NBA, and started using the high five then. Speaking of conformity, I mean, changed his hairstyle and the low five. So I blame Dr. J. I really do. I'm upset. I'm okay. I'm over it now. But I've just started watching NBA basketball after all this time. But I think it's on the comeback.
So the high five then. So it started to kind of go with the high five. That was kind of a catalyst then.
I think the high five was a logical opposite thing you could do. I mean, it's kind of like you used to do this, now you do this. Very simple move, but still yet different. And I think the person who invented the high five is taking a lot too much credit for that kind of greeting. Now it's just insinuated, whereas you would say, "Give me 5," back like, no, they did. It's a good, honest aid back then. Now it's just implied. If you do that, that means that means, you know, that kind of thing. Which, you know, I would never do that. I went back to the handshake for a long time.
Okay, so some sources may not be as reliable as others. My bad. But they're still sources nonetheless. Do we have Graves' footage?
Well, Dr. Graves, thank you for taking time to talk to us on the documentary. You're a professor of human behavioral science at Dartmouth, and you wrote a dissertation on American nonverbal communication, which of course would include the low 5. While it seems to be inherently American, that's really, according to your dissertation, not how it began. What is it that you attribute? What do you attribute to the creation of the low 5?
Well, as I'm sure you probably know, if you are doing a documentary, it started several hundred years ago in another country.
Right. Well, and it really began to take off once people began to come over to America. It really kind of started to slowly take its shape into what we know it as today. And in the 60s is really when it began to rise up and become more popular, correct?
No. It was actually more in the 50s and late 40s.
Alrighty. So when did it really taper off? Did it around the early 80s with creation of the high 5 by Lee Emerson, according to your dissertation, correct?
That's correct. Have you met him?
We have not yet. Were you able to interview him for your dissertation?
Yes. He is probably the reason we're having such a problem now.
Okay. So you attribute his creation of the high 5 as what destroyed the low 5 as we know?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for your time.
Sure.
What the wordy Dr. Graves failed to mention, I'll explain to you. Back in the Roman Empire, two soldiers would greet each other by grasping forearms, like so. One night after a victorious battle, the Roman soldiers had a bit too much to drink, as one can tend to do. All they could manage to do was not grasp hands, but do that.
So the creation of the high 5, was that much as the low 5, where the low 5 was intentional? Was the high 5 done?
I think it was created by accident. I mean, somebody, not wanting to be a conformist, just tried to do something different. A lot of things were invented by accident. I mean, things like, Cheetos, Dippin' Dots, like Dickies, those things you can put under your sweater. Those were invented by accident. Somebody was just trying to be silly and put half of the collar of a shirt around their neck. Somebody said, "Hey, that looked nice under his shirt." Totally invented by accident. Instant millionaire. That guy was. Yeah. But and even larger scale, America invented by accident. I mean, if you go back as a historian, Christopher Columbus just happened to be sailing by.
But what happened to this great building block of American society, the low 5? It seemed to disappear from American pop culture overnight. It used to be in great films such as Karate Kid and Teen Wolf, but overnight seemingly just disappears into thin air. What happened to this ironclad American greeting? We're just outside of Augusta, Georgia right now, on our way to meet Lee Emerson, who's been in seclusion for years after accidentally inventing the high 5. Scholars say that it is he who single-handedly, no pun intended, destroyed the low 5. So we're on the way to his house right now to catch him red-handed. Guys, seriously, who wrote this? Before we go inside, it looks like Lee Emerson's wife is outside. So we're going to talk to her about what she thinks about what her husband did. Excuse me, ma'am. We just wanted to ask you a question.
What do you think about your husband single-handedly destroying America with the high five?
Well, I don't think he had any ill intentions.
You don't?
No.
Do you think he feels upset about what he did at all? Like he should atone for anything?
I think he has a good heart, and I don't think he ever has intended to hurt anybody or anything like that. I mean, we're just trying to raise these children and, you know, get through the day. There's just no desire to harm anyone.
You know, some people go and visit the White House. Some people go see Jefferson's house at Montevallo. This is just as much a piece of history as either of those two places. It's amazing that we're here right now. There he is on the porch. Mr. Emerson? Hey. Hi, how are you? How you doing today? Pretty good. Don't want to bother you too much, but we just wanted to ask you a few questions about the high five.
Look, man, I'm gonna tell you like I told those guys at Reader's Digest, I have nothing else to say about this crap, okay? Nothing else. Get out of here. No,
Hey,
get,
whoa.
no, get,
Are
man,
you reaching for
get-
another five? Is
Hey,
that what?
get out of here, man. Get. Look,
Just leave.
leave my property.
We just want. It's just a few
I said
questions.
leave. Get that camera down.
He's still after all these years doing the high five.
Get off the porch.
So tell us how the high five started.
It was in a stock room back in 1983. We had just been to the Thriller concert, and we came back, and we were busy stocking some stuff the next day, and something fell. I caught it. My buddy was up on the ladder. I just kind of reached up like this, and he reached down and slapped. And ever since then, we're doing it up high. It just didn't make any sense to do this. We went like that. Sure. And then at first it was great. Everybody at the warehouse and stuff, they caught on. Everybody was slapping each other high five. We went to the basketball course. We were always high fiving. Everybody thought it was great at first. And now there's all this scrutiny. I'm nervous about it now. Don't really like to talk about it at all.
Well, that's understandable. I mean, if you could have changed anything, would you have done something different? Would you have tried to stifle it in any way?
Well, what you gonna do? I mean, it was just 1 second, just slapping five like that. It was not like we were trying to do this craze.
Well, many people feel that the high five gave birth to other.
Oh, absolutely. There was the bump, there was the roundhouse, there was the, chest bump, all that stuff. It all started after the high five. Mm-hmm. And, of course, yes, the low five was the first thing, but yeah, it kind of went forward after that, though, yeah. Butt tap, everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks so much for your time, Mr. Emerson. But what direction would mankind take after the decline of the low five and the creation and birth of the high five? Would it be a simple declination into a embarrassment in pop culture, or would it still have the holding that we knew it used to have? We decided to go on location to Franklin, Tennessee, which, as you all know, is the booming metropolis of human development, to decide and find out what the average person thinks about the low five. If I were to ask you to give me a 5, how would you do that?
I would probably give you a 20 and tell you to give me some change.
If I were to ask you to give me a 5, how would you do it?
Right there.
What?
Yes.
What? Okay. If I were to ask you gentlemen to give me 5, how would you do it? Both of them. Both of them. If I were to ask you two to give me 5, how would you do it?
Well, if your hand would be raised, right?
If I asked you to give me 5, how would you do it?
Well, would it be $5 or like a high five?
See? Low 5 wasn't even an option.
I do 5 push-ups, actually. If you say...
I can't do 5
You don't
push-ups.
say, give me a low 5. That's not even like an acceptable term in society.
Exactly.
You just say...
If I were going to ask you to give me 5, how would you do it?
Sure though.
Give me 5.
$5? I'll give you 5 cents. Or a high five.
How would you do it? Like that? You wouldn't even give me, low 5 is not even in, you wouldn't even consider the low 5?
No.
Why not?
Because this is awkward.
Why is it
more
awkward?
natural. Does this because it's high 5. Somebody's calling me.
If I were to ask you guys to give me 5, how would you do it? Yeah, give me 5. You would do the side.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd even add in the pound.
And you'd add in the fist bump. You would do that?
Yeah, high five.
Yeah, I'd do it like that.
Low 5's not even in the. Why not? Why is the low 5 weird?
Well, when you see someone coming at you like that, it's like, well, what are you going for?
Okay. It's nice to know these things. If I were to ask you to give me 5, how would you do it? Alrighty. If I were to ask you to give me a 5, what would you do?
That's horrible, huh?
Is the low 5 not an option? The low 5? Wait, you don't even know what the low 5 is?
You gotta show me. Show me. What is it?
Doesn't even know what the low 5 is.
Describe.
But just as in today's day and age, there's a group that stands for just about everything, to protect everything, whether it be good things like stopping forest fires, or pointless things like animal cruelty. There stands one group that is storming the gates of despair and embarrassment to clutch the low 5 from the grasp of annihilation.
Well, Joel Niswant, Callie Dow, thank you so much for taking time to, do this interview with us. We really appreciate it. Tell us a little bit about your organization. What you're all about?
Shelf? Is that what you're
Golf.
referring to? Shelf?
Golf.
Shelf.
Okay.
Golf.
Shelf.
Golf.
Seeking help to embrace.
Good old low 5. Good old low 5.
Really?
Okay.
Hey, you create no excitement. Shelf? Really? Really?
Shelf.
Yeah, let's bring America together with Shelf.
Seeking help to embrace the low 5.
Okay. Alrighty. And what exactly? Obviously, it's somewhat explained in the name of your group. But what exactly is it that you're trying to do? What are you all about?
What am I all about? What is the organization all about?
Yes.
How long is this going to take?
Well,
It's a conspiracy.
Everything's a conspiracy.
It is.
The organization is seeking help to embrace the low 5. The reason why it's in place is because the low 5 has gone by the wayside, and I think it's damaging our society as a whole.
This is a movement, man. It's a movement. It's a movement. We got to bring it back. Give me some skin.
Wow.
Alrighty.
Can you feel it?
Can I feel what?
I'm excited.
That is
Golf.
Alrighty.
Golf.
So, why is it? We'll just keep going. Why is it? What is it about the low 5 that you think needs to be brought back? What is it? What are the qualities that you think make it so positive that it needs support?
Well, I mean, it's so personal. It's been missing for so many years, and we've noticed that the nonverbal communication in this country is going to crap, really. I mean, all of a sudden we have things like the high 5.
Who brought corn niblets? Who brought them?
The chest bump.
Yes.
Things
Corn
like
niblets.
the dap. Even it goes so far as text messaging. I mean, that's where we're at now. And we're trying to bring back the low 5 for personality reasons. It's personal. It meant a lot when it was there, and now it's gone. So we're trying to bring it back.
I think it started in Seattle. This whole problem. Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Yeah. How do you give a low 5 if you're carrying your hot coffee?
Or mowing your lawn.
Your double soy macchiato caramel latte.
She doesn't have a point.
No.
They're behind it.
Okay. Well, so what is the social significance then of the low five? What exactly, what part in our society do you think it plays?
The low five in our society?
Yes.
Well, I mean, look at all the TV shows that influenced Different Strokes.
What's happening?
Golden Girls.
What's happening?
In 48 Hours.
I saw it on Dallas once.
So really, what good do you think the low five is going to do if brought back into society, if a surge of it is brought on?
Well, look, they say that laughter is the best medicine. I think, and my organization thinks, that the low five is the best prescription.
In what manner? How so? Like, what do you mean?
What are you talking about?
What do you mean best prescription?
I think that it will heal all.
Laughter? You know who hates laughter? Starbucks. Starbucks.
Really?
You know, when you got the, especially when you get whipped cream. How can you talk with the foamy stuff in your mouth? How can you laugh? You get choked? Get choked on the little bubbles, the little foamy bubbles? Not cool. Starbucks hates laughter.
And little foamy bubbles.
Right.
Yeah, call
But you say heals all as a figure of speech.
Figure of speech, I'm not following you. Is this some sort of a new language? Are you trying to confuse me? I thought we were talking about nonverbal communication.
No, we are. I'm just. You mean it as a meaning it won't actually heal. It just you mean like from a
no,
spiritual, mental sense or.
No, I mean physically heal. I low-fived a friend the other day, and a cut that he had on his leg immediately scabbed over.
Oh my God.
Look,
here we go again.
You like.
Are we almost done here?
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
Here we go.
I'm just trying to figure out why you really think the low five can.
Have you read a book ever? I mean, I'm having a really difficult time making myself clear with you. Obviously, I don't know how
I understand.
He has a game of pinochle to go to that y'all are holding him up.
This is ridiculous. I've never dealt with the level of idiocy that I'm experiencing right now. I don't think I have the time for this.
Well, I'm just.
He says he has a game.
Okay, look, I think
Well,
I'm done here.
I just don't understand how can it
He's even
heal?
any friends.
I'm done.
How is it? What are you?
I'm out of here.
Dude, do you want some niblets or what? Where are you going? I'll actually share them with you this time.
So what logical conclusion can one come to when presented with the information that you've seen? Well, for starters, we learned that the origin of the low five brought about one of the most powerful empires known to all the world in the Roman Empire. We also learned that the declination of its popularity was caused by what some consider an uppity greeting in the high five. And we learned that there are some trying to bring back its popularity. In my opinion, it's very important that we do try to bring back the low five. What Shelf or Golf or whatever they're called is trying to do is very important. There's all sorts of support groups nowadays, but the salvation of mankind lies not in global warming or in finding an alternate energy source, but in bringing back the working man's five. In the words of Little John, get low. I'm Marshall McGinnis.